The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. Who are they going to go with in this week's mock draft 5.0? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, the WayneBreezie. That's right, the WayneBreezie. Thank you so much for tuning in. Listen, I like doing these mock drafts, and I like getting the opportunity to be 32 different general managers. And let me tell you that it's not easy, all right? It's definitely not an easy thing to do, but I'm going to give it a shot. All right, so I'm going to give it a shot. We are going to be doing our all 32 team mock draft for this week. We are actually at mock draft 5.0. So shout out to everybody out there, and thank you so much for your lovely comments and all that good stuff, man. Listen, you can check out my show, The WayneBreezie Show, right here. Follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, especially if you're new. If it's your first time watching, make sure you click that subscribe button. It's important, all right? And make sure you click that like button. It's even a little bit more important than subscribing. I need the subscribers, but I need you to like it more than anything. And try your hardest to stick through the whole video. I'll try to keep these videos as short as I possibly can, but I'm going through 32 teams. So enough with that. Also, check out our sponsors over at residency.com. Use the promo code SFBreezie. You can save on your total purchase, all right? SFBreezie, www.residency.com. And if you want, take a listen. Podcast, Spotify for the WayneBreezie Show, the Nitty Gritty Niners Show. I am working to bring that back as well for those that love the Nitty Gritty Niners. All right, let's go ahead and not waste any time. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of this particular mock draft. All right, so as you can see, I'm going with all 32 teams. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. They got the needs right here. We're using PFF's mock draft simulator. And is there a possibility where the Titans trade that first pick? I feel like no, because they need a quarterback, right? Like I feel like they need the QB, right? So I don't really see them trading that first pick. I just don't. I don't. But I do know this. Defenses win championships. So let's have some fun with this mock draft. Their team needs several players. They need a quarterback first and foremost. You got the number one pick. You want to make sure you secure the future 5-year deal with the quarterback position. It's just tough because when you look at these quarterbacks, I really feel like these quarterbacks don't really give, they don't really give what we want, as far as, they don't, Cam Ward's got to be the best quarterback in this draft. Got to be the best quarterback in this draft. Hands down. Cam Ward has to be the best quarterback. Now, these guys are going to test, in my opinion. I wonder if Tennessee would be willing to trade back. What if their guy isn't Cam Ward? What if their guy isn't, just what if their guy isn't Cam Ward? Let's just look at a team that definitely needs a quarterback that's trying to move up. The Raiders need a quarterback, but they could easily go with one of these free agent guys. And see, that's the thing that's going to separate this. Like, you got Russell Wilson, you got a bunch of free agent quarterbacks, Sam Darnold. Where are they going to end up? You know what I mean? And so, like, once free agency hits, that's what's going to change the game. But the NFL draft, the combine is about to happen. So free agency will help shore up a lot of things. Let's just go with defense here. We said defense wins championships. They got to go with the best player. And Travis Hunter's the best player. I'm giving him the best player. Hands down. So if you're Tennessee, don't be mad. I didn't give you a quarterback. I gave you the best damn player. And probably that's the route I'm going to go in unless I start to hear things different. And with the Tennessee Titans, all right? If I hear things a little bit different. Now, the Browns situation is different too. The Browns quarterback situation is funny. Deshaun Watson is injured. I feel like they got to go quarterback here. I don't see them going corner. The best player, to me, in the draft is already off the board. This frees up the quarterback spot, right? So this allows them to get Cam Ward. Right? And that's what I feel like. That's the route that they're going to go. Like, Cam Ward replaces Deshaun Watson, kind of like the same player, right? Little mobile, can move if they need to, great passers, can break down the defenses. So it's Cam Ward, man. I'm not going to play around with the top 5 picks. We're not going to play around the top 5 picks. All right, we're going to dig into these top 5 picks. All right, we're not going to play around with the top 5 picks. It's just not what we're going to do. All right, not what we're going to do. Not at all. All right, so let's go ahead and let me just see if I can just stretch that out a little bit. There we go. All right, so let's not play around with the top 5 picks at all. Let's just strictly go with Travis Hunter, best player, going to the number 1 pick, Cam Ward. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, because do the Giants go with Shedeur Sanders? And I feel like that's the kid that's been mocked to the Giants. That's where the Giants looks like they're going to go. What do the Giants need? Offensive linemen, DBs, in my opinion, that's where they could go. All right, so will it be Will Johnson? Will that be the guy to be the 3rd pick overall? I doubt it. Didn't play enough football to be the number 3 pick, right? If they were going to go with a defensive player, it would be Abdul Carter. Now, they do have a couple of guys that are going to be free agents for the New York Giants, so that's going to make it a little interesting to see where they go as well. But I think for the Giants, I'm going to go with the quarterback. And I know people that are watching is going to be like, boo, right? They're going to be like, boo, okay? But nah, man, trust me. Like, Shedeur Sanders, that's the guy you want. All right, so now this is where the draft gets a little interesting, because the Patriots can go defense. They can continue to build their defense. Coach Vrabel, defensive guy. Or do they get a solid weapon? And I can't tell you who is a sure bona fide weapon on the Patriots. They got guys. Get that man Drake May a freaking big body wide receiver that they can utilize with a high-ass catch radius. In my opinion, that's where you want to go. So it's going to be T-Mac out of Arizona for sure. All right. So Patriots, you're getting your wide receiver. You're getting a solid weapon. Big time pass catcher, great hands, not the greatest route runner, but can get open, can be utilized underneath, can be utilized deep down the field. I mean, a great weapon. And here's where we get interesting, right? Because I didn't trade up with the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to go free agency at the quarterback spot. They're going to look to build their team and try to get back on track with winning. They got a great head coach in Pete Carroll. He's a defensive guy. I think he knows he has a guy in free agency he can go out there and get. I'm not sure of the relationship between him and Russell Simmons, but before we get to the Raiders, before we get to Vegas, let's go to Jacksonville, because Jacksonville's on the clock, and they need some offensive line. They need offensive line, and if I'm as much as they can go defense here, they need corner. I think they need corner over interior, believe it or not, and they need offensive line. They need to figure out how they're going to keep Trevor Lawrence protected. That's what they got to do, And it's not just from the, we looking at the tackle position. No. They need interior. They need to be able to run the ball. They need guards, but you're just not going to draft any guards. I think this is where Will Johnson lands, cornerback out of Michigan. I believe this is where he's going to go. So Will Johnson, if you're a Jags fan, let me know what you think about this draft pick, Will Johnson. And he's one of the top cornerbacks in this draft. I know he didn't play much in college. I understand that. But when he was on the football field, Michigan's defense was that much better. So just kind of take that for a grain of salt. You have to watch the film on him. You can see how he plays in his press man coverages. You can see how he plays in zone. He's pretty solid in both, right? And if you just have that, what he does is he plays around with the quarterback a little bit. Because he trusts his speed, right? NFL's going to be a little bit faster, so he's going to have to adjust to it. But he's not a hands-on guy. He's really good in running routes with the wide receivers, and he's a pick 6 guy, so that might be a solid pick. All right, this is where we get kind of cool with it, because I'm sure, like I said, think of the coach mindset when drafting players. You got to think of the coach's mindset. And when I think of Pete Carroll, I think of defensive animals. And I understand that they have an edge rusher and Max Crosby. I think he'll be a Pete Carroll guy for sure. Can they go opposite Max Crosby and get an Abdul Carter and have a dynamic, crazy pass rusher, something that they missing? And I feel like that's what they do. I really, truly do. I feel like that's the route that they're going to go. I know it's against the grain. I know it doesn't say that they need an edge rusher, but Abdul Carter is standing on the board, and I don't see him going past 6. I really don't see him going past 5, because I feel like the Patriots might do that. But Let's go edge rusher Abdul Carter right here to the Raiders. And that line, those edge rushers, golly, can be dynamic. Another team that needs a quarterback, the New York Jets. All right, quarterback, interior, DB, where they're going to go. They are losing DJ Reed in free agency, or they may lose him in free agency. They may need to address one of their linebackers because I think they're going to lose him as well. But it just screams interior. I can't imagine what Quinnen Williams and Mason Graham would be like. That's going to be dynamic. And as much as I don't want to draft Mason Graham to the New York Jets, I just feel like that's where they're going to go. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's where they're going to go. It just makes all the perfect sense in the world for them to go and grab, to me, the best interior guy here. So let's go Mason Graham to the New York Jets. So far, we haven't done any trading. There might be some teams that trade back. And I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to focus on a team that trades back, is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. Either they're going to move up or move back. That's my team. That's the team I specialize in. I don't want to mess up any other team's mock draft. I really just want to try to pick the best player that would fit them. That's kind of how I'm going with my mock drafting. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. When I get to the Niners, I may do a little wheeling and dealing. So stand by. All right. So look, look, defensive line, defensive back, they can use a safety. They losing several players in free agency as well. They have tons of them. And the Niners pick in 4 picks, right? And so when the Niners picking in 4 picks, you're going to see several guys up here that the Niners can go if they choose to go that route. I personally think, in my opinion, that the Panthers are going to go defense. I think the Panthers are going to go defense. And I think a lot of teams are actually going to go defense, believe it or not. And, I just feel like James Pierce Jr. screams Carolina Panther to me. You want that fierce edge rusher out there on the edge. I understand they need DB. They could use a safety. They could use a corner. But I'm not spending prime real estate on those positions as of yet. Unless I knew they were a sure bona fide position filler, I'm going to go with the edge rusher out of Tennessee, James Pierce Jr., to the Panthers. All right, now we got the New Orleans Saints on the clock, and the Saints need defensive linemen, but I feel like they can address that a little bit later in the draft. I see a wide receiver on the board right now, and people are going to be like, oh, they don't need another wide receiver. Listen, I'm not sure about the status of Chris Olave. All I know is if Luther Burden III is there, that's a problem solver. That's a problem maker, problem solver. He can do everything. He can run the route tree. He can get open. He's fast. Everything in great hands. In my opinion, he's this year's version of what Brian Thomas Jr. is in Jacksonville. Like that's how much I like him. And I love the Brian Thomas Jr. I know Malik Neighbors, the big name coming out, but Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville had a phenomenal rookie season. I feel like Luther Burden III would be a great solid pickup for the New Orleans Saints. Saints, you get yourselves another wide receiver. If Derek Carr is the quarterback there, that's a great option to have to help boost that offense. They need a true number 1 wide receiver, in my opinion. And I'm no shot at Chris Olave, and that's not understanding where he is with his health and all that. All right. Now, look, the Bears. The Bears got receivers. The Bears, I think their defense is pretty much set. The Bears don't have a run game. You want to help out this kid. You want to help out Caleb. They got a new coach. Ben Johnson. And I understand. But can you imagine DeAndre Swift with Ashton Jeanty? Or Jeanty, however you say his name? That's the pick. That's the pick. And I know it's not it is a sexy pick, but I know a lot of people don't want to draft these running backs early. He's not just a running back. He's a beast out there on the football field. So Ashton Jeanty going to the Bears, that combination, DeAndre Swift, Ashton Jeanty, and if they wanted to go with a little power from their other running back, that could be a solid trick. That could be something crazy to think about. Now, people might feel like Jeanty and Swift are the same player, but hey, let Ben Johnson figure that out. You know what I mean? Let him figure that out over there. I think that's where he went. Where did Ben Johnson go? I feel like he went to the Bears. Anyway, if I'm wrong with the coach, oh well, sue me. But at the end of the day, I think that would be a solid pickup. You get a great pass catching back, great running back. Stats are amazing. kid would be a problem. All right, the 49ers are on the clock. And so with the 49ers, I know they need a tackle, but I don't think they go first round tackle. I know they need defensive line. And I see Mike Green available. But I really don't think this is the draft where they're gonna go get where they're gonna go edge rusher first. And I know a lot of people want to go edge rusher, but I really think they focus on the interior. They focus on the interior. So bear with me, because I think we can trade back a little bit. Walter Nolan is who I really feel like would be the perfect fit for the San Francisco 49ers. And so if I do decide to trade back, the question is who's trying to move up to get who. It's really not about, you could trade down, but you don't want to trade, probably past 16. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to, and you definitely don't want to trade 18. Like these are the teams that you're going against. So if I'm trading back, it'll only be a few slots. Does the Falcons want to move up? Do the Falcons want to move up? Now, here's a couple of teams. The Lions want to move up. All right. They got the Lions wanting to move up. They got the Bills wanting to move up. And if I trade that far back, I'm not going to get Walter Nolan. I might, be better in the draft. But let's go back to like 15. I want to draft before the Cardinals. All right. So I want to swap these picks, but I want a little bit more in return. And I don't know what the Falcons will give me to get 11. You know what I'm saying? It just says that they're not even interested in trading the pick. So you mean to tell me that the Falcons don't want to move up to 11 straight up? All right. So they just might not be interested in trading. All right. I just want to play with this real quick. If I give them all of this, they're not interested in trading the pick. So I get it. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Now, if I do want to trade, I could trade back to 28. Well, you know what? Let's play the game. Walter Nolan won't be there, but perhaps that offensive lineman is there. So let's just see how this pans out. All right. They want 11. They want to move up. I don't really want to trade with the with the Lions. I don't really want to help out a team, but let's see what they're willing to give up. All right. So it looks like I could get their first round pick. I can get their second round pick. I can get their third, their fourth. Like, they're going to give me everything. I feel like sometimes this stuff be broken, but that value of moving that far up in the draft kind of does allude to that. But so let's just play around with it, right? Let's just say I want that, and then I want a future second. All right, so I want a future second in 2026, and you know what? Let's look at it. Let's look at a player. Let's look at how I got the trade. Watch this. We're gonna go to Buffalo. All right, we're gonna go to Buffalo. Now, I don't want to trade my first, but I do want their first round pick. All right. Now, I can see the 49ers doing some stuff here. All right, now let's see what I could get in return from Buffalo. I'm willing to trade Debo. We're going to swap first-round picks, but I'm going to take a lot of their picks, right? I'm going to take a lot of picks. What do I need from Buffalo? Nothing. I don't want anybody in return. I would like Dalton Kincaid, though. Like, I'm not going to front Dawson Knox. That'd be a solid, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm going to trade for anybody, it's got to be, like, offensive lineman, interior guy, any of these guys we really like. Not really, right? Defensive Ed Oliver would be the guy I would want. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. But we can get picks. So it looks like we can get solid picks. Are the Niners willing to part ways with all, and look at this. I'm just going to offer the trade, see what happens, and move back. All right, move back. We still going to have a first-round pick. So if you're a 49er fan, we'll still have a first-round pick. What we did was we gave up Deebo Samuel, and I feel like we could have gotten way more, right? We still got a first round pick, but we ended up getting this is for Debo. We got a second, we got a third, we got 2/3. So second and 2/3 for Debo, plus with the swap, people might feel like we got, pretty much bamboozled in that, but now the Niners can still kind of like address what they need to address, and you got the Buffalo Bills on the clock, and this is where the Buffalo Bills are going to look to perhaps get better. You know what I'm saying? And I like the kid Benjamin Morris, and I feel like this is where they may go. They do need a stud wide receiver, but those two top guys are gone. I don't think they go for a guy like Emeka Ibuka or Matthew Golden, because those are kind of like the same guys they have already. So I just don't see them moving up for that particular fella right there. But as far as defense, that's where I feel like they go. They can go interior. They can go linebacker. I don't think there are any linebackers like slightly like that I would draft like in the first round. In my opinion, that's not where I would go. But far as corners, I think it's going to be Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. I think it's a bit solid pick. He fits them too as well. Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. You can see, I think Dallas Cowboys just go boring, and they go with the tackle. They get the big Will Campbell out of LSU. I know people aren't going to like it, but I think that's the route that they go. As far as the Miami Dolphins on the clock, again, interior, tackle, defensive, safety. I see the safety there. And so safety, Malachi Starks is screaming at me, and I feel like I mocked him before to the Miami Dolphins. But he's just available. He's like right there for them to pick. Tight end, edge rusher, DB. Let's change this up a little bit. All right. You look at the Indianapolis Colts, they can use edge rushing. Why not draft a guy like Mike Green? Sounds like a pretty sure fit there. I'm going to go Mike Green to the Indianapolis Colts. They get themselves a fierce edge rusher to match up on with that defensive front out there, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, the Niners, if you're a Niners fan, you got to stick around. We pick right before the Kansas City Chiefs, and I really want to get that right. Like, I really want to get that right. All right, the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. You can see wide receivers. You can see edge rushers. You can see linebackers, corners they need. I feel like they do need another wide receiver. I'm not sure how they're going to do with the Ray McCloud situation, but it's Drake London, and then it's Kyle Pitts. Is this the year that they kind of like move on from Kyle Pitts? I don't know I don't know if they know how to literally like work with the tight ends. I feel like they struggle there. I do. I do feel like they struggle there. But Emeka Egbuka would be a good slot option for them. Guy that can get open, work underneath routes, work over the top as well. That might be a good option, especially with the young quarterback that they have there. Like, I really do like Emeka Egbuka there. So let's go ahead and go Emeka Egbuka there. All right, they're going to go tackle. I think this is either going to be Kelvin Banks or Josh Simmons. They went with the Ohio State last time. Maybe they go Kelvin Banks Jr. this time. So let's go Kelvin Banks Jr. to the Arizona Cardinals left tackle. Probably the best left tackle in this draft, believe it or not. I know he's not ranked higher than Will, but I think he's overall solid, the best left tackle in this draft. All right, look, Bengals are on the clock, and you see some players that are available, and we're getting down to the nitty gritty. All right, so we're getting down to the middle of the draft. The Bengals need a receiver, they need guard, they need defensive lineman. I see big Michael Williams there, edge rusher. I know Atlanta Falcons players, people are going to be mad because I didn't go edge rusher first, and I went wide receiver with Michael Williams being there. My apologies. All right, my apologies, but I really think you guys will do some damage on the offensive side of the ball. I understand the Falcons have tons of free agent defensive players leaving. All right, so Falcons fans are going to be mad at me for that pick. I already know. Wide receiver for the Bengals, there's a possibility they lose T. Higgins in free agency. Just not really feeling the wide receivers. For the remaining, I mean, Matthew Golden sounds like a pick, but that might be a reach for them. Why do I just feel like they need a tight end? I don't know why. I just feel like Tyler Warren would be the perfect key. I feel like to unlock that offense, they can run the ball because they can block with their tight end and run blocking. I'm going to go Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren out of Penn State there. All right, now we're on the clock for the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks screams defense, offense. That's what they do, right? That's what they're going to do. Ben McDonald, excuse me, he is going to go defense. I feel like defense and, edge rusher is available, all right? I see Michael Williams. I see Shamar Stewart. I see Jack Sawyer. I see tons of edge rushing opportunities for them, and this might be exactly where they go. I'm going to be honest with you. I can really feel it. I can feel it. And so, Seattle Seahawks, you guys about to get yourselves a dog. Shamar Stewart. Like, that just screams. I mean, this dude showed up at the Senior Bowl practices, killed a guy, literally, like, ran him over and left and said, I'm done. I'm good. I'm Gucci. I'm out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I'm good. All right. With that being said, I think the next edge rusher that goes off the board is going to be Michael Williams out of Georgia, outside linebacker, edge rusher. However you want to look at it, I think he'll be a good fit in Tampa for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Big guy out there on the edge. The pick is in. Let's go with it, baby. All right, we got the Denver Broncos on the clock, and everything about them, to me, I feel like they want to enhance their offense, right? They want to enhance their offense. They did not. And Tyler Warren would have been a perfect fit here as well. But why do I feel like the Colston Loveland would be a nice, solid pickup here as well? You know what I mean? But let's just see some of their other needs that they need to address. They can go safety. They can go tight end. They can go linebacker here. None of those guys are worth that first pick. Wide receiver seems to fit that mold as well. Is Matthew Golden a wide receiver that they would draft? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I'm going to go wide receiver right here for the Denver Broncos. Matthew Golden out of Texas. Got the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock, and I know the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to figure out like how to get back to the Super Bowl, and they're going to be dealing with some quarterback stuff. And I really don't know how to get them back to the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's going to start with the coaching or things like that. But as far as the wide receivers, I don't think they're drafting a wide receiver early. They may trade back, right? They may trade back, or do they feel like there's a quarterback available that they like, right? Now, if you want to go with a quarterback and you want to reach up and grab one of these guys, be my guest. Be my guest. I don't see them doing that. I can actually see them probably trying to trade back. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can see the Rams looking to move up. They could trade back a few spots. Let's go ahead and test that out. All right, and so let's see what the Rams are willing to give up. All right, so the Rams are willing to give up that first and that third round pick right there. Let's go ahead and make that happen. I think the Steelers trade back. Boom. All right. So the Steelers move back. The Rams move up. All right, the Rams move up. They need a tight end. They need an offensive tackle. And I think this is where Josh Simmons goes. It's just perfect spot for him. Josh Simmons to the Rams. I talked about a tight end going here. They went and got a pass-catching monster last year from Georgia. And I think Jim Harbaugh does it again and gets Colston Loveland, probably the best catching tight end in this draft. You want smooth route running, good hands, quick routes. This is the guy. I know it sounds like I'm reaching for him. They could potentially trade back as well because it seems like a reach, but I think Jim Harbaugh knows who he wants. I think he goes Colston Loveland. I got two tight ends going in the first round. He'll reunite with his tight end. Green Bay Packers on the clock. They need edge. They need corner. They need center. There's no centers that's going to go in this first round. I could tell you right now. As far as wide receivers, they could potentially trade back as well. They do need an edge rusher, and I just feel like Jack Sawyer fits the mold for the Green Bay Packers. He would be a high motor player, very well, just a dog. Just a dog, just a dog. I think that would be a solid pickup for the Green Bay Packers. All right, man. Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. We're getting down to the end of this first round, and let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit that like button for sure. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think of some of these picks. All right, and this is where I feel like things can kind of get a little iffy, tricky for the San Francisco 49ers, who want and probably have their eyes set on a guy like Walter Nolan. But I think for the Minnesota Vikings, I think their defensive front is pretty solid. Cornerbacks, they can probably use the upgrade there. Maybe a safety. Harrison Smith is getting older. Running back, I don't think they go first round. Jonte's off the board, even though I do like Amarion Hampton. They can definitely change the face of how they choose to run the ball if they go bell cow. Do they go bell cow? Do they get their bell cow running back? I don't know. That's a good question. I like Amarion Hampton. Some people have him as their number one running back ranked in this draft. Some people have him as their number two. If there are two running backs to go in the first round, it's Jonte, it's Hampton. I'm going running back here. Tennessee Texans on the clock. They need interior. I think they go big Kenneth Grant, man. It's just the way it is. I just feel like it's the way things are set up. right? I think they go big Kenneth Grant out of Texas. They get the big run stuffing, defensive interior tackle. I'm just trying to figure out how teams are going to run on them. You got to look at the teams in their division. They got the Colts, right? And you got to look at those teams. Like, that's going to be tough to run on. All right, now the Pittsburgh Steelers are back on the clock. All right, they're back on the clock, and maybe there's some value in some of the players that they're kind of like looking in. They can go DB, they can go corner here. I do like Jahdae Barron. He could play safety. He can play nickel. That might be a solid pickup. He's fast. He's quick. That might be a good pickup for the actual Pittsburgh Steelers. Do they go defensive? Defensive again? And they're not going quarterback here unless they trade out in the first round. Just doesn't make any daggone sense. I'm gonna go Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Yeah, some of these guys are rising up. Actually, yeah, that's the guy. It was either him or Trey Amos, and I saw Amos there. All right, now I think the Ravens need a receiver, but I don't think they grab him in the first round. I think they can go offensive line. They went tackle last year in the second round. I don't think they're gonna go that route. I think they're gonna go edge, and Nick Scorton's just sitting right there. You know what I mean? Somehow he didn't get drafted earlier. And so I really like Nick. It's either Scourton or Scorton, however you want to say his name, out of Texas A&M. Texas A&M got some dogs, too. I want people to understand that they got some dogs. He feels like, to me, he fits the mold of the Baltimore Ravens. All right, man, the Detroit Lions are on the clock, and it is getting down to the nitty-gritty of some of these players that are no longer going to be available. You know what I'm saying? But to me, for the Detroit Lions, there are some guys that I feel like can be first-round picks. I understand where their ranking is, but I feel like if the Lions get a couple of these players, and I see like they need an edge rusher, Donovan Iziraku is right there. I'm not going to pass or shift over his name. Sitting at pick 30, ranked at 35. If the Lions wanted to reach up and grab them a crazy freakish edge rusher in this draft, then they should do it. Lions, the pick is in. You guys are going to get you a I like this kid. Love this kid. Love his work ethic. Love the way he talked about like how he prepares for games at the Senior Bowl. He's going to be a problem. Him and Aiden Hutchinson on the same team. Golly. Commanders on the clock, and they pick for the Niners. So good news, if you're a Niners fan, you're going to get a pretty decent, you're going to address the trenches in the first round. Now the question is, where does the Washington Commanders go? No more wide receivers, right? They can potentially go edge rusher. I think they go offensive line here, and I think they get Armand Mimbo because that's the pick. That's the guy that the Niners have probably been looking at, and so I think this is where it gets, a little iffy. They could go Josh Connolly here too, solid left tackle. I think it's going to be a phenomenal player in the NFL. They can go Gray Zabel, who's more of an interior guy. He is listed as a tackle, but he's more of an interior guy, and so I feel like they can go, they're not going to go that route. They don't really like the tweener guys. They really like guys that actually play the position. So it's coming down to Mimbo and Josh Connolly, and I think the Commanders go Armand Mimbo, left tackle out of Mizzou. But the Niners being on the clock, man, look, they're not. Look, I watched the Chiefs play, and I'm sorry. I know we need offensive linemen, but Walter Nolan is there. The pick is in, and I'm not letting the Chiefs get Walter Nolan. They can go a different route if they need to. They want to go defensive line. They want to go offensive line. They can do just that. But I will say, I think that they do get one of these two offensive linemen that are still available, and I think Josh Connolly will fit. Even though I feel like the Eagles are gonna need a tackle, with their tackle being a free agent this year. Like the Chiefs are weird, right? Because I watched Chris Jones get hurt. Will they go? Will they address? I like Tyleik Williams. He seems like he'll fit there. Big doggish guy up front. Feels like he'll fit with the Kansas City Chiefs. You can see what his stuff looks like as far as his run defense, and that's what he'll be brought in for. Can get you some sacks. Can get there. Had 3 sacks last year, but not one of the huge sack interior pressure makers. But he's a guy to me that will fit the Spagnuolo defense. And but their weakness is their offensive line. Their weakness is their offensive line. And so with that being said, I think the next 2 picks are going to be offensive linemen. I like Gray Zabel they'll kick him in the guard. but he is listed as a tackle. So here's the pick. This just in, breaking news. It's going to be Josh Connolly out of Oregon. You know what I mean? That's who it's going to be. And then we get down to the last pick in the draft. They went defense last year. Don't see them going defense this year. I definitely see them going offense, and that player will be Breezie. I think he ends up being a first-round pick in the draft. You can see that they need an offensive guard for the Philadelphia Eagles, so why not get the best combo guy up front? All right, you get the best combo guy, you know what I mean? And I like it, I like it a lot. All right, and this is overall, this is what we did. All right, pretty solid draft in my opinion, but just a quick recap for those that are watching, and feel free to comment, man, your team, hashtag your team in your comment so I know who your team is, and let me know if you thumbed it up or thumbed it down. All right, Travis Hunter to the Titans, Cam Ward, Browns, Shedeur Sanders to the Giants, T-Mac to the Patriots, Will Johnson to the Jags, Abdul Carter to the Raiders, Mason Graham to the Jets, James Pierce Jr. To the Panthers, Luther Burden III to the Saints, Aston Janti to the Bears. All right, we got Benjamin Morrison that traded up with San Francisco, so San Francisco got some extra picks a little bit later on. We also traded Deebo Samuel. All right, now I should have got a player back for that, but I didn't look to get a player, so that'd be my bad. Anyway, we did trade away Deebo Samuel, but we got another pick that I feel like we can draft a wide receiver with. Anyway, Benjamin Morrison was who they went with. Will Campbell was the first tackle off the board. He went to the Cowboys. I think that's where they start to build in the trenches for sure. Malachi Starks will be a stud in Miami. Mike Green, to the Colts, and Emeka Egbuka to the Falcons. And I know the Falcons are like, dang. And it's because they went Mike Green, so I would have had to slide down. Kelvin Banks, second tackle, went to the Arizona Cardinals. Tyler Warren to the Bengals. Shamar Stewart to the Seahawks. Michael Williams to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, to the Denver Broncos. Josh Simmons to the Rams. They traded up with Pittsburgh to move up. Colston Loveland fits right where he belongs, right with his old coach. Jack Sawyer, dog for Green Bay. Marion Hampton, that was the surpriser. I wasn't expecting to draft another running back, but I think the Vikings, I know they need a quarterback, but if they go with their rookie, they need a running game. And I know Aaron Jones is a free agent, so why not get the bell cow running back? Let me know what you think, Skull Gang. All right, Skull. All right, Kenneth Grant, big defensive interior guy to the Houston Texans. Jahdae Barron, which was the trade back. The Steelers went and got another cornerback. They just love defense. Nick Scourton to the Ravens. The Lions got Donovan Eziraku. Ruaku. I think that's what you say. Azir Ruaku. Boom. From Boston College to the Lions. Commanders got Armand Membow. Walter Nolan to the Niners at 30. He was there. All right. Josh Connolly to the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Breezie to the Philadelphia Eagles. Make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel for sure. Make sure you do that, man. This is super hell of important, man. I appreciate you guys. And you can become a member of the Breezie Bunch crew if you want to support the channel and support the content that I'm doing here. Love you guys, man. And keep that football churning, man. The offseason is officially here. Let's get to it, baby. Combine is next. Peace.